Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad that you could be here. Let's jump into our cosmic weather, see what we have to deal with today. Here we are, 6th of August, new moon. New moon today, and we have the moon in Leo as it was yesterday. Leo is a fire sign. Fire is about ideas, creativity. Tarot card of Leo is the card of strength, which is about righteousness. Or if you take the word righteousness and break it down to right useness of our energy. So we've got Leo, fire underneath, and on the outside we have Leo as the sun sign. So double Leo today. Double Leo as we go forth into the world. Alright, then we have one triangle here between the moon, Leo, and Uranus. Sudden changes, surprises, unexpected events, things of this nature, so our creativity might find some surprises to us as we get into this afternoon. Moon phase here, full moon, 0%. It's because we're at a new moon. Mayan Oracle, 6-tone day, means the guide and the kin are the same, which is the eagle. We are on the wave spell of the dog, which is love and loyalty. So we have the rhythmic eagle guided by the eagle. Seed is the like-minded energy. Serpent is the challenge. And the World Bridger is the hidden power today. The phrase is, I organize in order to create a balancing mind. I seal the output of vision with the rhythmic tone of equality. I am guided by my own power doubled. Spaceweather.com, solar wind slower than yesterday, 482.8. Remember, it was over 500 the other day. Planetary K index is between a 1 and a 3. Our coronal holes have subsided from what they were. And M-class flare and X-class flare is down low just like it was yesterday. Geomagnetic storm activity is up there. 40% if you're in the high latitudes within the next 24 hours. You have your cameras ready. Alright, we have another story here I want to look at before we move on. Space weather related. This says the sun's magnetic field is about to flip. Something big is about to happen on the sun. According to measurements from the NASA supported observatories, the sun's vast magnetic field is about to flip. It looks like we're no more than 3 to 4 months away from a complete field reversal, says solar physicist Todd Hoeksema of Stanford University. This change will have ripple effects throughout our solar system. The sun's magnetic field changes polarity approximately every 11 years. It happens at the peak of each solar cycle as the sun's inner magnetic dynamo reorganizes itself. The coming reversal will mark the midpoint of the solar cycle 24. Half of the solar max will be behind us, with half yet to come. Hoeksema is the director of the Stanford Wilcox Solar Observatory, one of the few observatories in the world that monitor the sun's polar magnetic fields. The poles are a herald of change, just as the Earth scientists watch our planet's polar regions for signs of climate change. Solar scientists do the same thing for the sun. Magnetograms at Wilcox have been tracking the sun's polar magnetism since 1976, and they have recorded 3 grand reversals, with the 4th in the offing. Articles there for you can check it out. So something to be aware of. Nice little reversal of the sun. How will that affect us? Well, if you think about it, sun's putting out electromagnetic energy. Okay, all this magnetism. We are beings, receptors of this energy. So when the sun flips poles, reverses, it's obviously going to have some sort of effect on us as well because we're all connected. So let's pay attention to what's going on to the sun, the light around us, and see what happens. Here's a little bit more update on things. This is Suspicious Observers Report for today.
Good morning, folks. Apart from the drawback of having to sign up at the White House website, this is as good as it gets. Any petition with 100,000 signatures must be addressed by the President of the United States. I have to believe the only reason this still has 80,000 to go is because people just don't know about it. Organic, please? Thank you. I'll sign that petition today. Kind of a downer to go along with this story is the new strain of drought-resistant rice. I thought Japan was against this stuff. I've also linked a terrific article on the Titus Bode relation of where you can find planets in a solar system. That's a long-time fascination.
Hold on a second here. I believe that we are looking at the report from yesterday. Let's find today's report here. There we go. All right. One more time.
Good morning, folks. Many questions about the solar pole flip. Those who have been at this channel a while know it flips every sunspot cycle for a complete magnetic cycle of 22 years. Those who watch here have also heard that the north pole of the sun has already flipped. We are now waiting for the south, which honestly looks like it could be flipping now, right in the process. A secondary aspect of this article is the electric discourse surrounding the sheet within which the planets orbit, bobbing in and out. Essentially, our entire solar system is bathed in this electric sheet. Got a before and after here from Pakistan. Monsoon rainfall has devastated locals here and in Afghanistan. Lazarus Comet family discovered, named for their tendency to go inactive as they linger between Mars and Jupiter and then spring back to life as blazing comets. They show how this changes what the early system likely looked like, and in my opinion should alter your concept of the heavy bombardments and smaller events throughout history. Switching to weather, we are in the central Pacific where most know that Gil is weakening and should not threaten Hawaii. It's supposed to kick south as well. But right behind him is little sister Henriette. Little sister turning into Big Mama as she's gobbling energy and a bit of her brother out ahead. Most experts now predict that Hawaii is about to get their second tropical event in only a few weeks. A little rarer than rare as you see both spinning their way to the island chain. Southwest Australia reporting tornado touchdown and multiple injuries. Seems tornadoes are favoring these two nations more than usual this year. Terrible storms with the Euro slammed Austria and the Czech Republic, while south of its influence there is still no relief from that heat. Seems like a nice day for most of the West Coast. Energy in the U.S. is racing up the central states, and there could be tornadoes in the U.S. tonight as well. We got another gamma burst, this one from way in the celestial north, the Cassiopeia constellation. Solar flares are still quiet, the sunspots continue to decay, and the delta spot identified last night on the south has all but faded itself. 3-day solar wind data from SOHO here shows how the speedy particles up top from the coronal hole stream bunched up the slower moving particles ahead of it in the density line below. Just like a shovel would bunch up snow out ahead of it and leave a clear trail behind, I couldn't ask for a clear picture of a coronal hole stream. You can see there's not much happening in the solar wind the last 24 hours here on ACE. Geomagnetic disturbance has waned along with energetic flux. That energy is now on a trip to the core. There's a new moon today, Earth-facing umbral opening and coronal hole, and with the law of averages seeing us 8 days from our last 6-pointer, the Quake Watch score again is 7. There was a significant solar eruption on the Earth-facing disk. A filament on the northeastern quadrant destabilized and released its plasma into space. We can see from our position there's a small chance of geo-effectiveness to the blast, but can also tell the ejection is moderately sized at best. Stereo B is perfectly positioned behind our orbit to see things headed our way from a side view. It's not clear if the entire CME will miss north, but most will, and a glancing blow to our shield is possible. Here's that other eruption coming off the south. Eyes open. No fear, it's 6:35 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
Alright, very good. That is the report for today. Continuing on. Alright, so yesterday we began a new topic for the week, Bigfoot. I'm not talking about the truck that's in the monster truck. I'm talking about the creature Bigfoot. What is Bigfoot? Is it a big ape-type creature? Is it a man? Is it a cross between a man and Neanderthal? Is it something else? It's a different species? I don't know. But there's been a lot of speculation. There's certainly been a lot of research. We've all seen a number of programs that are on television about this. So it seems appropriate to look at the subject. We saw some things yesterday. Interesting how the man and the dog were out there, and the Bigfoot, the alleged Bigfoot who knocked down the tree. Pretty interesting. So this one here is called "What is Bigfoot and is the Yeti Real?" from Truth Loader Investigates is what it says. So let's check this out. Here we go.
Bigfoot. It's the myth that won't go away. And perhaps it won't go away because there's some credibility to the claims of those who have seen it. It even has supporters such as David Attenborough, who truly believes that the Yeti could exist. I'm fascinated by Bigfoot, so I've been looking forward to this investigation for a while. Here's Sam with more detail on the serious side of Bigfoot investigations.
If we say mythical creatures, you say... No, not Nessie. Bigfoot. That's right, you say Bigfoot. But just how mythical is the mythical Sasquatch? Well, according to an increasing number of researchers and one Oxford University study, it might be more real than we ever imagined.
I feel like I know empirically that they exist based on experiences that I've had, things that I've seen, evidence that I've seen.
Matt Pruitt has been analysing witness statements and video footage of Bigfoot sightings for more than 8 years as a project coordinator with the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organisation. And he's convinced there's a Yeti out there in the North American wilderness.
I've had a number of experiences that have convinced me beyond a shadow of a doubt that these things do exist. There are similar hominids, I guess you could say, or mystery primates around the world, primarily in Asia and some in Australia. But, Bigfoot was coined in North America. It was coined in California in 1958. So the idea of Bigfoot or Sasquatch is really a North American idea, even though similar things are seen in other places. Now that there are more of us that are going into the field trying to collect valid data, collect valid evidence, and now there's a growing number of people who are willing to look at that evidence, objectively. I do think that the gap is closing in terms of how close we are to fully understanding and accepting these things.
And he's not the only believer. A group of more than a dozen scientists travelled to Kemerovo in remote Siberia in October 2011 and claim they're 95% sure they encountered some evidence of a previously unknown ape-like creature. So, the obvious question, including the one this scientist from the Russian expedition is asking, is why, oh why, haven't we got a skeleton yet?
The land mass of America versus how much of it is actually inhabited by people is a huge ratio. There's not a whole lot down there, and I've traveled all over the country too. And the evidence, as it were, are very disparate pieces of evidence that have convinced scientists in specific realms of science. For example, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Associate Professor of Anatomy and Anthropology at Idaho State University, has done a lot of very good groundbreaking work into the foot morphology or inferred foot morphology from their tracks. Hair samples would be another example. Personally, I'm very, very compelled by witness testimony, witness data. I've interviewed about 800 witnesses at this point in the last 8 years. And there are just certain consistencies when it comes to people's descriptions of specific physiology or morphology of Sasquatches, or certain insights that people might gain into their ecology or behavior that are so very consistent. And I think that's a very compelling part of this mystery.
Whilst the Loch Ness Monster is more or less accepted as a Loch Ness myth these days, there's something about the Yeti that's just more believable.
I think it's because these things do exist and they're real and people see them and encounter them quite often. I think that's why it's endured. If it were something that were completely fictional or completely imaginary, I think it would have gone away by now. And no matter how many times the media, collective American media, says that it's a myth, it's a hoax, or specific hoaxes get debunked, it doesn't seem to slow down the flow of data that comes in related to these things.
Even famed wildlife filmmaker David Attenborough has expressed some element of belief, and a study at Oxford University called the Collateral Hominid Project is currently analysing DNA samples to try and see if it can find any evidence. So if science is slowly starting to take it seriously, why isn't the rest of the world? The answer? Well, there's just too many hoaxes.
There's a lot of nefarious people that have been attached to the subject. And so as long as there are people that are perpetrating hoaxes, I think there's going to be a lot of fear on behalf of the scientific community to kind of take a deeper look at this. No one wants to be fooled. It's fairly easy. These are human-shaped things. They're not exactly like people, but in a lot of ways, physically, they're superficially like humans. They're being habitually bipedal, etc. So it's not a very difficult thing to go out and fake evidence, especially visual evidence, which is why you have so many people that fake videos. I think it garners a lot of attention because people are fascinated. And I think that's probably why people are attracted to the idea of hoaxing evidence, because they do tend to get some attention.
So what do you think? Is there a Yeti out there? Are we being arrogant when we assume that we found all the big creatures on land? Or are we just chasing ghosts? Let us know what you think.
So does Bigfoot exist? Have you seen Bigfoot? Do you have a Bigfoot story or a Bigfoot picture? Send us your pictures, your comments, your thoughts, your questions, everything into the comments section. We might be able to read them out on Truth Loader Investigates Live next week. If this is the first time you've seen Truth Loader, hit subscribe so you don't miss out, and check out all of our content, which is in the great end board that you're about to see now.
All right, very good. So there you go. That's what's going on with Bigfoot. Isn't it weird what fear does to people? Fear stops scientists and people from investigating things that they could and they should. So silly. So silly. All right, there you go. UFO News is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Dirk, thank you very much. Today, 6 stories. Story number 1 comes to us from Norfolk, Virginia. This was on the 2nd of August. Mysterious object falls from sky. Area sealed off by military. Simply, nobody will be giving any credence to officials in America who have stated that a mystery object, which fell from the sky this week after the surrounding area was evacuated and sealed off for some time, police and military personnel, was just a weather balloon. Reportedly, large numbers of government operatives from various agencies converged urgently on a residential neighborhood in Norfolk, Virginia on Tuesday after an unidentified object fell from the sky. News reports described the object as something odd, with some eyewitness accounts saying it resembled a balloon and others saying that the crash-landed artifact had a structure similar to styrofoam. According to local TV news, one person told authorities it was making a strange noise. People living and working in the immediate area rapidly evacuated, and the district was sealed off by a combination of police and military personnel. The presence of operatives from shadowy federal agencies and overall charge of the incident was of course not mentioned by spokesmen during the media. However, it was revealed that the initial contact with the landed object was handled using a robot. Following this, there was a consultation with the experts from NASA. Not long after, the mystery object from the sky was apparently loaded onto an unidentified government vehicle and removed from the scene. Subsequently, local residents were permitted to return to their homes, and the military and police contingents dispersed. Alright, here's a 1-minute, 24-second video.
Large numbers of government urgently on a residential neighborhood. The object as something odd, with some eyewitness accounts saying it resembled a balloon and others suggesting that the crash-landed artifact had a structure similar to polystyrene. One person told authorities
here they are checking it out.
People living and working in the immediate area was sealed off by a combination charge of the incident.
Okay, so not sure what that is, but they cordoned off the area and then they say it was a weather balloon. Right. Okay, August 3rd, UFO sighting recorded over Chicago. New video of UFO footage recorded over the night sky in Chicago on the 3rd of August. It says Tony Lopez caught this interesting footage from Chicago on Saturday the 3rd. Clearly the object keeps a very steady formation and they are bright enough to think that they are rockets. Recent reports show there was a wave of sightings on the 3rd. Have you witnessed any activity over Chicago on the 3rd of August? Okay, so there you go. It's 2.5 minute, 2-minute 46-second video. Couple of things in the sky here. certainly seen these before. Well, let's continue on. Here's over New York on the 3rd. This was a mass sighting. Again, you just heard say there was a mass sighting going on. Well, here we go. Look how many there are there. So we got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just in this image right here. 11. A lot of them. Are they just flying out doing an exercise? Is this a tour group down there on Earth? Are they humans? It's like a zoo. Is that what they're doing? Showing off what's going on here on Earth? Okay, moving right along. Next up, this is over Dorset. Photographer says multiple UFOs over Dorset prove aliens are real. Echo reader March Lichtensteiger snapped this pictures when he stopped at the beauty spot overlooking Zigzag Hill. He said at first thought it was some kind of helicopter display or formation, but then the lights disappeared. There was absolutely nothing there. They came back on and they kept flashing off and on, all at different times. There must have been 5 or 6 lights, which were all stationary in the sky. Mr. Lichtensteiger of Gillingham said that he was baffled by what the lights could have been. I asked a few people and even checked it out with the Army, but no one seems to know. It does fuel your imagination a bit. He added that the lights, which were sighted at the beauty spot near Shaftesbury, attracted a lot of attention from passersby who stopped to have a look. Alright, so there's their lights in the sky. Can you see them? Right out here. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 perhaps. Okay, link will be available. Check it out. UFO hovers over Fresno with changing colors. Mike Ekezian records a hovering bright orb UFO outside of his house. The object is no lantern or aircraft, but one thing is for sure. It's very unusual and very bright. There have been a spate of UFO sightings right across the U.S. from August. In the U.S. from the 2nd of August to the 4th. Okay, objects which traveled state to state and recorded, which scrubbed out lanterns, which state news claims is responsible. This is no lantern. Okay, so again we have the media trying to tell us these are just Chinese lanterns floating through the sky. Why? Because the media is filled with media whores that don't want you to know what's going on. So they tout the party line, hoping that your common sense is not very strong, so that when they tell you that what you saw with your own eyes you didn't, you'll believe them. It's always good when they're able to affect the mind because, well, it helps their agenda. It definitely helps their agenda. Okay, moving on from here. Last one, this was over Peru. Object in question. And it said the UFO appeared between 10:45 and 11:10 in the morning over the city of Huánuco, Peru. It is suspended for more than 35 minutes in the heavens above my city. The UFO changed shape and size. You can see that a silver object was hovering at about 1,500 meters. Okay? So there you have it. The video itself is 1 minute and 23 seconds long. And I'm going to leave the link for you to check it out on your own. Okay? Right there. That is our UFO news for today. So, as you can see, there's no shortage of UFOs coming in. We just need to pay attention a little bit more. Maybe check into the sky, see if we can see them on our own. We also need to pay attention to the stories that are coming out from government leaders about such situations. You see, when there's more and more sightings in the sky, I see them, you see them, others see them. I know that what I see with my eyes is what I see, so do you. I don't need somebody to tell me that I didn't see something. I'm not going to play that game, and I know a lot of you don't need to play that game either. Your eyes are very good. You see what you see, you know what you know, and you don't need someone in the government trying to disinform you otherwise because they have an agenda. When we come to realize what's going on, we see that it is important to pay attention to what they're saying, because you have to wonder, are those here on Earth that are pointing out the aliens, the extraterrestrials up there, pointing them out as potential bad guys, are those here on Earth doing that? Are they actually the bad guys? Something that you need to ask yourself, because so many people are willing to give up power to the Earthlings, to those who are enslaving them, and say, oh, we can't trust the aliens. How do you know? How do you know? Why is it that you're so loyal to those people on Earth who are so willing to enslave you and to hurt you, and think that they are possibly better than anyone else that's out there? How could you dismiss the possibility that there's loving entities in the universe that want to help us? All you got to do is listen to the words that they are speaking. Pay attention to what they're doing, and then compare that to what's going on here down on Earth. You see the wars going on. You see the countries are led by warmongers. Something's not right about that. We've been conditioned to believe that that is acceptable. And as long as we continue to believe that's acceptable, there'll continue to be more wars. Perhaps there's a better way. Perhaps that is what this agenda is, this extraterrestrial agenda that's going on. Perhaps it's about showing you a better way. So maybe the secret is to find a way to get past all the conditioning that has been done to convince you that war is good, and actually turn your attention to the other side of things, that war is bad. Peace is good. Love is good. Those things are good. So, just some thoughts. I don't completely trust what the governments of the world say about what's going on with the extraterrestrials, because I believe they have their own agenda. I believe that the governments of the world have been infiltrated by those ETs that we consider the negative ones, the reptilians and those who are wished to be harmful. So I don't look to see that there are those up there that are wanting to hurt us. I already know that there are plenty of those down here on this planet that want to hurt us. I just know that the stories say that there are those out there that want to come down to help us. And they're just biding their time because they know that those down here that want to hurt us also want to hurt them. It's a real easy thing when you think about it, and when you just use your common sense and put it together. It's not really too difficult. Sooner or later, we're going to have to deal with this reality, and we're going to have to decide whose side we're going to be on. Are we going to believe just because we're living here on Earth and there's all these other humans here that if some human in one of the government agencies says that we have to shoot at the extraterrestrials, are you going to do that? Are you going to feel that that's the way to go? Because what if they're wrong? What if you're being misled by humans that have some agenda that is not in sync with the bigger picture? It's quite possible. It happens all the time. Let me let you in on a little secret here. Humans lie. Not all of them. Not the majority of them. But there are those that lie, and there are those on this planet, other humans, in case you didn't know, and I know a lot of you do, but there are other humans that are power hungry and greedy, and there's a small minority that is working on this planet to keep everything for themselves and not care about the other people. Believe it or not, that's real. So we need to pay attention to what's going on. All right, that's our UFO news for today. I'll be right back.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
All right, continuing on. 9/11 was an inside job. I believe that 100%. I can't tell you how much grief I've gotten from people because of that. You know, there's a lot of people who still are convinced, even though they know and are aware of the lies that they've been told for years by their government. There are people still convinced that this lying agency in this event of 9/11 is telling them the truth. They've lied to them about other things, but on 9/11, that was the truth. On 9/11, it was the truth, And we shouldn't question anything. We shouldn't question that they cleared the crime scene. We shouldn't question that they found the password. We shouldn't question any of that. At least that's what some of them think. Well, I believe we got to question everything. Because if we don't question things, then we're going to find ourselves in a real problematic place one day. If we don't question things like, why is the NSA spying upon us? Then they're going to continue to do it. Well, that's what's going on. People are asking, why is the NSA spying on American citizens? Who are these low degenerate individuals that have nothing better to do in their life but to spy on American citizens? Who are these scumbags? Yeah, I know. They're the NSA. An agency that's supposed to be out looking for your best interests, but they're not, folks. Some of them are. I'm sure that there's a good amount of you in the NSA that are out there for the best interests of the people. But I'm sure there's a bunch of you who are real low-life scumbags out there that are working with an agency and you're completely against what the people are about. Shame on you. Your days are numbered. I'm not worried about that because I know prophecy says that the return is going to happen and they're coming to take out the wicked and the ungodly. So you keep doing your ungodly, wicked activities. That's okay. Your days are numbered. Your days are numbered, good will reign, and all of you bad ones, well, you're going to go away into the cornfield. You're going to go away, and we'll never have to deal with you again. We just have to bide our time on that. That, I believe, is going to be a reality. All right, this is Judge Napolitano talking about NSA spying. Here we go.
No surprise, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano has an opinion on all this.
If I could just weigh in on the intro, the Supreme Court wouldn't take the first step. The Supreme Court would take the last step.
The last stop on the line.
The Supreme Court will have the final word on this. Somebody will challenge something somewhere along the line. It'll make its way up to the Supreme Court.
And so what happens? Play it out.
Well, look, the reason we're discussing this now is because the Chief Justice of the United States over the weekend, while on vacation, in an offhanded manner said to a reporter, look, this privacy stuff is all over the place. Right. I pulled it out, a cell phone just like everybody else. This is the Chief Justice saying this now, not me. Sooner or later, we're going to be reviewing the ability of the federal government to get inside of this. I don't want to give you any thoughts on it because I may be having the final say on it. So because he like everybody else, reads newspapers and goes on the internet and is aware of what's happening, he knows that this will eventually get to him. The reason it will eventually get to him is because it is so unbelievably widespread. I mean, on June 6th of this year, just 2 months ago, when Edward Snowden revealed what he now revealed, the government denied what it now admits, which is that it has the content of every email, every text message, and every phone call in the United States of America for the past fill in the blank. They won't tell us what the blank is. Initially, they said, no, we only have identifying information. We know to whom it was sent, by whom it was sent, how long the call was made, and where the caller was. But that's not true. We now know that they have everything. They have it all. Whether or not they have read it, whether or not they have listened to it, they haven't said, but we know they can with the pressing of a couple of keys on their computers.
So what it boils down to then, it will end up in the Supreme Court more than likely, and the government will argue that, look, this is a matter of national security. So does it come down to what actually qualifies as national security?
It comes down to what the Congress permits the Congress to do in the name of national security or anything else. Okay. Start with basics. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It created the presidency, the courts, and the Congress. They can only do what the Constitution authorizes them to do, no matter how emergent is their need for action.
I don't believe any of this, though, Judge. Do you believe that they have access to every single text, email out there? Anything I text right now, they have access to?
I believe it for a couple of reasons. I believe it because Snowden and other NSA whistleblowers, including a very famous one named Thomas Drake, who was prosecuted by the government, and the prosecution was tossed, have said this. And I believe it because the government has not denied it. And I believe it because the president, who said 2 months ago they can't listen to your phone calls and read your texts, has stopped saying that. So I do believe that they reluctantly acknowledge that they have this power. I also believe it because Congressman Rogers, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, asked General Keith Alexander, the director of the NSA, does the NSA have the ability to read emails and listen to phone calls? Answer, no. We don't have that authority. Question asked about ability. Answer replied about authority.
In other words,
he
we
very
do have the
carefully
ability.
parsed his
Someone
words
said yes.
because he was under oath when he answered that.
That's very, very frightening if all that's true.
It is frightening. We live in frightening times.
We do.
Judge Andrew Napolitano, I'm glad you were here.
See, what she says is kind of telling. That's very frightening if that's true. Man, the people that work in the mainstream media, I got to wonder how misinformed they actually are. Can you imagine going to work on a daily basis and just being misinformed, having to lie to the American people, and then yet not even know what you're saying? I mean, some of them just read teleprompters and don't even know what they're saying. That's why they'll say things without even thinking about it. They just read. That's all they are. Reading people. They don't put any thought into it. It's just sad. And then we rely upon them as some sort of an expert. They're just lying to you over and over and over. They're clueless. Clueless bastards, all of them. Okay. TSA. Now this ties into the last story. NSA, right? NSA is spying on people. Now this is something that we've talked about for a while. This has been going on. We've talked about how Hitler and what happened in Nazi Germany is happening here in America. People are in denial of it, but it's true. Go find some pictures of Adolf Hitler hanging out with little children when he's signing documents and doing things. You know what? You can find pictures of Obama doing exactly the same thing. Obama, when he came in, said he was going to have an army, a force that was just as strong, just as powerful. And though the years have gone by, many don't realize that Obama has been building that army. He's building it slowly, and people are completely unaware. And you've got these young punks who are out there blindly loyal to Obama. And it's scary to watch some of the videos, how they're just spouting out this poison and spouting out this hatred. It's just horrible. And yet that's going on. Here's an article to show this expansion of power that's taking place. And if this doesn't concern you, then, well, I don't know what does concern you. TSA expands duties beyond airport security. As hundreds of commuters emerged from Amtrak and commuter trains at Union Station on a recent morning, an armed squad of men and women dressed in bulletproof vests made their way through the crowds. The squad was not with the Washington Police Department or Amtrak police force, but was one of the Transportation Security Administration's visible intermodal prevention response squads, otherwise known as Viper, assigned to perform random security sweeps to prevent terrorist attacks at transportation hubs across the United States. The TSA, huh? Said Donald Newsbauer of Greenville, Ohio, as he walked past the squad. I thought they were just at the airports. With little fanfare, the agency best known for airport screenings have vastly expanded its reach to sporting events, musical festivals, rodeos, highway weigh-in stations, and train terminals. Not everyone is happy. TSA and local law enforcement officials say the teams are a critical component of the nation's counterterrorism efforts, but some members of Congress, auditors at the Department of Homeland Security, and civil liberty groups are sounding alarms. The teams are also raising hackles amongst passengers who call them unnecessary and intrusive. Brown shirts. Remember the brown shirts? Hitler had brown shirts? That's what we got going on here. The TSA, for the most part, are made up of real pervs. Have you ever seen some of the background records of some of the TSA agents? Perverts, pedophiles, thieves. Their background records aren't checked. They're coming in out of jail and they're going in and working for the TSA. They're going in working for the TSA, having background records as being molesting kids and being pedophiles and all that crap. And yet they're out there at their airports and they're putting their hands on people as they walk through. And now they're not just at airports, now they're at sporting events and music festivals and train stations. Folks, for those of you who are paying attention, you see what's going on, right? How sad it is for all of those who aren't paying attention, and this is going on. Slowly but surely, the water is being turned up. Slowly but surely, the water is boiling, and Americans are being cooked to death. You think I'm telling you a story and just making this up? Wish I was, but every day reports confirm exactly what I'm saying. All right, so something to pay attention to. let's shift gears, because we can go on about all the garbage in the world, and guess what? There's a lot of it. But you know what? There's also a lot of good stuff and a lot of good people, and I'd rather focus on some of that. One of these people, and I really like what he has to say, is Brother Nathaniel. This is Brother Nathaniel. You've heard him talk a lot of times about Jews and the Jews in the world and the Jewish agenda. Well, this one here is a little bit of his history of why he left Judaism. So let's listen in his words what he has to say for himself in this regard.
My two Jewish parents took me to Hebrew school when I was 6 years old. This was in addition to attending Sabbath services every Friday evening and Saturday morning, which also included Sabbath school. You see, Jews educate their children from the cradle. Although I was steeped in Yiddishkeit, that is, the Jewish experience, throughout my growing up years, my fondest memory was singing Christmas carols with my Gentile friends. Every December, we would go door to door throughout the neighborhood, singing Christmas carols such as O Come All Ye Faithful and Silent Night. One Christmas Eve, after finishing a rousing rendition of Joy to the World, the man of the house came out from the living room to the front porch, pointed right at me, and said, "What's a Jew boy like you singing Christmas carols?" Well, with tears gushing out of my eyes, I ran home and I asked my father, "Dad, why don't Jews believe in Jesus Christ?" My dad answered, "Son, you can sing Christmas carols as much as you want, but one thing you've got to remember. You were born a Jew and you will die a Jew. Jesus Christ is for the Gentiles. He is not for us." I thought to myself, I got to ask my rabbi about this. While visiting my grandmother in the hospital, there was the rabbi. He was right on the hospital foyer. I went up to him and I asked him the same question I asked my father. Why don't Jews believe in Jesus Christ? Well, the rabbi spit right on the hospital floor. I was appalled. Then he stared at me with daggers coming out of his eyes and said to me, "Don't you dare ever name that wicked name again." Boy, I was really appalled. Soon after, my mother took me to my cousin's bar mitzvah. It was in an old synagogue. When we walked in, I could just smell this musty smell. And I looked around, there were Jewish stars everywhere, and I started getting sick. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to run out, but Mother grabbed me, and after 3 hours of sitting through that service, I kept on saying to myself, Judaism is a religion of death. Judaism is a religion of death. But the watershed came during my bar mitzvah class. There we studied comparative religions, and Mrs. Schechter was the teacher. Mrs. Schechter was built like a bulldog. We studied every religion under the sun. Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, Jainism, Baha'i, but we didn't study Christianity. It wasn't until the end of the bar mitzvah school year that Mrs. Schechter gets up from the desk, stands like a bulldog in front of all of us and says, "Children, we're not going to study Christianity. You see, Christianity was started by a man named Saul, who was a self-hating Jew, who hated his Jewishness so much that he changed his Jewish name to the Gentile name of Paul. Thus, we're not going to study Christianity." Oh, I thought to myself, how in the world can we eliminate Christianity? Christianity informed Western civilization for the last 2,000 years, and we're not going to study it? I said to myself, one day, when I leave my family, when I leave my synagogue, I'm going to study it for myself. And this I did. When I was in college, I got myself a New Testament, and I started reading the life of Jesus Christ. Well, I was just fascinated with the person of Jesus, how he went out into the crowds, rubbed shoulders with the everyday people, and spoke about everyday living experiences and applied it to spiritual things. I thought this was great. I couldn't put the New Testament down, and soon after, I did embrace Jesus Christ as the Messiah, started attending church, and I left Judaism. That was in 1971. Now it's 2010. And as I reflect upon my decision and think about what I understood as a child, that Judaism was a religion of death, Well, I think I've been vindicated. Look what's happening now in the Jewish state of Israel, where Judaism is supposed to have been at its ultimate expression. Well, the Israelis are murdering innocent Arabs. They've made the Gaza Strip an open-air concentration camp, and they are on a quest for ethnic cleansing. Oh yes, Judaism is a religion of death, and I was right as a child. As president of the Brother Nathaniel Foundation, where we are working to bring back Christianity as the main religion in America, which has been usurped by Judaism, I reflect on my decision of having left the religion of my parents and my forefathers. And after 40 years of having left Judaism, I can only say I made the right decision.
All right, there you go. So, that is the background story of Brother Nathaniel, why he left. Good reasons, right? You know, I never understand the whole Jewish mentality of not accepting Jesus. I keep hearing the stories, the Jewish people are the chosen ones, but then we hear that the Jewish people had to wander for 40 years, 40 nights. Maybe it's because there's a lot of problems in there. Maybe God's trying to straighten out the Jewish community and they're just got too many problems and not accepting the very things that they should. I don't know. I just think that there's a issue there that needs to be looked at, and some very closed-minded people that really need to kind of open and see what's going on. Just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Moving on. All right, the fifth dimension. I'm not talking about the musical group. I'm talking about the place where we're going. This article from in5d.com says, How to Shift into the Fifth Dimension, 7 Things You Must Know, by Hannah. We are moving to an amazing era of New Age, or fifth dimensional Earth, which is full of extreme heavenly bliss. However, it's up to us to allow the flow of energy from the Creator to manifest literally anything into our experience. Since our Creator made ourselves in His image, we have a free will to create anything that we want in our reality. Most of the humanity this time is in power and control from government and corporations, as we do not know our true nature as our Creator in creating realities that involves a lot of stress and struggle. A lot of us are waking up. We are enlightening others about their lost powers. Goes on to say, the need at this time is to be more spiritual and to understand and practice it. No one can force anyone to believe anything in spiritual stuff. However, with changing vibrations, you won't be able to survive in the negative influence and will very soon know who you are. To enter into the fifth dimension, Earth, it's important for you to be happy and motivated all the time. Let the feelings be your guide and understand the following points. 1. Nothing is permanent. Understand that everything you see and feel is made up of energy, and energy can be transformed into different matter. Everything around you has had some consciousness. Reason you are here on Earth is to experience and to expand your consciousness, as everything possible has already been done. 2. Live in the moment of the now. Your past, future, and present is happening right now. There's no concept of time in the spiritual world. That's what fifth dimensions and higher are all about. 3. Set no goals. By setting goals, you are trapping yourself into the future which you haven't manifested yet and struggle to achieve those goals. The problem here is that most of us set goals which are very small and feel happy about manifesting them. If you are setting goals like pay bills or go to the grocery, then you probably should know how to order from the universe. However, it is always good if you maintain a journal writing down how you feel each day and what made you feel like that. 4. Everything is possible if you believe. We live in a parallel universe and create our own universe by experiencing things from those parallel universes. By having a desire and feeling good about having it, you are shifting your universe. More faith you have in yourself, it'd be much easier to manifest or experience anything. 5. Ask and it is given. The law of attraction is universal law, which says like attracts like. That's why people say it's think big, because when you think big and have faith, the universe will match your exact vibrations. The more you allow, the more you manifest. Manifestations in 5D Earth are instant, and there's no concept of time. 6. Do only things that you love. By doing things that you love, you are allowing the universe to shift itself and give you more and more experiences of things and events that you would love. And 7. We are all one, everything in consciousness. Everything is consciousness. The air you breathe or the mountains that you see are made of some spiritual beings. All of us on planet Earth are given free will, which is not so with most of the planets. However, there's a lot of judgments and differences that we create in our mind and don't exercise our free will properly, living in the world full of discrimination. New Age or 5D Earth is all about an enlightened society of people where there is no discrimination and your manifestations are instant. We also know that as humans we are eternal beings and don't die. Understanding spirituality can be very profound unless you practice and have full faith in Creator. With the help of angel guides and wisdom gained over the years, I've written a number of articles and writing a lot, many to help you awaken your true nature. Alright, so the fifth dimension. You've heard Dolores Cannon talk about it, you've heard others talk about it, the shift that we're in the midst of. We are in the midst of a shift right now. And I know a lot of you are feeling it. I know I feel the energy change going on. As I've been doing the sun gazing, it certainly has helped tune me in even more to what is going on. And there's a lot of subtle energies and subtle shifts that are taking place. And there's a lot of different ways you can feel them. Just keep practicing your meditation. Tune into yourself, and the more you do, the more you're going to really be and feel connected to all that is around you. Alright, our angel message for today is: any type of learning, study, or education can help your life's purpose at this time. Okay? Any type of learning, study, or education can help your life's purpose at this time. In other words, keep growing, keep learning. This is a good point in time to keep doing so. Very important that we learn what's going on in life. Alright? Alright. So here we have a message. This is Jesus. Message from Jesus for today. Here we go.
To love is to awaken, and to awaken is to love.
August 4th, 2013, by John Smallman.
Each human's intense and constant desire for God, the source of infinite love and wisdom who will accept everyone without exception, is the result of your deep inner knowing and your faint and wispy remembrance of your true nature at one with Him. You were created in love, and you can never completely erase the memory of that divine truth. So, despite choosing to build an illusory environment in which you could play, very realistically, at being separated from God and from the love that is His in your nature, you could not and cannot remove the intense desire to be one with Him, because it is your eternal and unchangeable nature. The illusion is a place of judgment, pain, and suffering, as you are very well aware, and it is not somewhere that you can find God. All your religions were founded in utter desperation because, being separated from God, love, the source of all being, as it seems that you are, is absolutely terrifying, even though it has not occurred and is impossible. God is infinite love, joy, and wisdom, all that exists. There is nothing else. But what is infinite and eternal? All life, all consciousness, all that God created is eternal, immortal, forever safe and at peace in His loving embrace. There is nowhere else that anyone could be. The illusion is an imaginary place outside reality, only there is no outside. It is in fact a very small and insignificant space within your collective mind that you have chosen to close off from God and His infinite love for you all. You have effectively said to God, "This is my private space, so keep out." God gave you free will, and love never binds, manipulates or controls, so you have this imaginary private and enclosed environment which God honors. It is like a very young child closing its eyes, putting its hands in front of its face, and then believing that it cannot be seen and that no one else but it exists. Fear arrives very quickly, and so it removes its hands, opens its eyes and bursts into delighted and relieved laughter to find that nothing has changed. All is as it was. Humanity is just about ready to remove its hands from in front of its face and open its eyes. When you do so, your joy and delight will be infinitely greater than that of the child. To come home to God is your reason for awakening, for removing your hands from your eyes, and the joy that you will then experience is beyond description. You have yearned for this for eons, and yet you have avoided taking the necessary steps to achieve it until now. Only now is the realization that love is your nature breaking into your awareness. The illusion would persuade you that love comes from another, or from God, but, as is now finally breaking into your awareness, God is love and you are all aspects of God consciousness created from love, and therefore, of yourselves, you are love incarnate. Your bodies, and their apparent unending needs have hidden the truth from you, but now you are no longer able to keep that truth at bay. You have chosen to awaken, and that choice has intensified the power of the divine energy field in which you are securely and eternally enveloped, so that you can no longer deny or ignore it. You see loving behavior and loving actions occurring all around you as never before, as your choice is lived, shared, and demonstrated with increasing fervor. You are rediscovering your power to be yourselves, instead of slavishly following the crowd as it attempts to please the egoic dictator of ever-changing moods and emotions. To love is to awaken, and to awaken is to love. It is that simple, and that is what is happening on earth at this moment. You are about to start rubbing your eyes and splashing water on your faces as the new day dawns, the eternal day that the illusion hid from you and which is not new but is brilliant and unchanging, just as it was created. You are love, you have always been love, you always will be love, and that truth is finally breaking into your collective awareness, leading to enormous changes all across the planet. Your loving brother, Jesus.
Alright, very good. Very nice message, as always, from Jesus. Alright, and that brings us finally to our meditation for today. Alright, so, let's, as always, let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And one more deep breath. And exhale. Alright, let's start off by activating all of our chakras right at the bottom of the spine. Orange above that, right at the belly button. Yellow just below the rib cage in the solar plexus area. Green at the heart chakra. Blue at the throat chakra. Indigo at the third eye, and violet at the crown chakra, and the light continues on into the cosmos, connecting you to all that is, was, and ever shall be. Imagine this light flowing through you, spilling out into the environment where you are at this moment, spilling out into the world, filling your place with love, light, and all of the other energies activated as the energies flow through the chakras. Now I want you to imagine those who have done you wrong, those who have in some way hurt you, and I want you to see that person clearly in your mind's eye. And no matter how upset you are with them, I want you to find a way to extend forgiveness to that person, to forgive them for their actions, to forgive them for the way in which they treated you. And as you are able to forgive them for their actions, you also find that you're able to forgive yourself for holding on to any residual feelings of anger that the situation might have brought about. And so as you imagine forgiving them and forgiving yourself, it's as if a weight is lifted off of you. And you find that you've stepped past a huge obstacle. And as you step around this obstacle, you find that the forgiveness that was extended allows you to be clearer and move through life more effectively. It allows the distractions that were in your way to be cleared. And so you walk along the path of life, feeling freed up from the energies of anger, frustration, towards yourself or to anyone else. And you walk through life experiencing happiness. The happiness that comes from letting go of all of these things that are holding us back. So we let go. And as we let go, remember the words of Jesus Christ. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, now and forever. Amen. Take a deep breath. See yourself walking along that path, continuing on out into life. Exhale as you do. And just go into the world, sending love into the world today. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And on the count of 3, open your eyes. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. There you have it, my friends. That's it for today. Thank you very much for being here. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information and all kind of other goodies. Stay tuned. That's it. Talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.
Also linked a terrific article on the Titus Bode relation of where you can find planets in a solar system. That's a long time fascination.
Hold on a second here. I believe that we are looking at the report from yesterday. Let's find today's report here. There we go. All right. One more time.
Good morning, folks. Many questions about the solar pole flip. Those who have been at this channel a while know it flips every sunspot cycle for a complete magnetic cycle of 22 years. Those who watch here have also heard that the north pole of the sun has already flipped. We are now waiting for the south, which honestly looks like it could be flipping now, right in the process. A secondary aspect of this article is the electric discourse surrounding the sheet within which the planets orbit, bobbing in and out. Essentially, our entire solar system is bathed in this electric sheet. Got a before and after here from Pakistan. Monsoon rainfall has devastated locals here and in Afghanistan. Lazarus Comet family discovered, named for their tendency to go inactive as they linger between Mars and Jupiter and then spring back to life as blazing comets. They show how this changes what the early system likely looked like, and in my opinion should alter your concept of the heavy bombardments and smaller events throughout history. Switching to weather, we are in the Central Pacific, where most know that Gil is weakening and should not threaten Hawaii.
Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things we're talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time
arrived.
to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time
arrived.
to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad that you could be here. Let's jump into our cosmic weather, see what we have to deal with today. Here we are, 6th of August, new moon. New moon today, and we have the moon in Leo as it was yesterday. Leo is a fire sign. Fire is about ideas, creativity. Tarot card 8, remember it was over 500 the other day. Planetary K index is between a 1 and a 3. Our coronal holes have subsided from what they were. And M-class flare and X-class flare is down low just like it was yesterday. Geomagnetic storm activity is up there. 40% if you're in the high latitudes within the next 24 hours. You have your cameras ready. Alright, we have another story here I want to look at before we move on. Space weather related. This says the sun's magnetic field is about to flip. Something big is about to happen on the sun. According to measurements from the NASA-supported observatories, the sun's vast magnetic field is about to flip. It looks like we're no more than 3 to 4 months away from a complete field reversal, says solar physicist Todd Hoeksema of Stanford University. This change will have ripple effects throughout our solar system. The sun's magnetic field changes polarity approximately every 11 years. It happens at the peak of each solar cycle as the sun's inner magnetic dynamo reorganizes itself. The coming reversal will mark the midpoint of the solar cycle 24. Half of the solar max will be behind us, with half yet to come. Hoeksema is the director of the Stanford Wilcox Solar Observatory, one of the few observatories in the world that monitor the sun's polar magnetic fields. The poles are a herald of change. Of Leo is the card of strength, which is about righteousness, or if you take the word righteousness and break it down to right useness of our energy. So we got Leo, fire underneath, and on the outside we have Leo as the sun sign. So double Leo today. Double Leo as we go forth into the world. Alright, then we have one triangle here between the moon, Leo, and Uranus. Sudden changes, surprises, unexpected events, things of this nature, so our creativity might find some surprises to us as we get into this afternoon. Moon phase here, full moon, 0%. It's because we're at a new moon. Mayan Oracle, 6-tone day, means the guide and the kin are the same, which is the eagle. We are on the wave spell of the dog, which is love and loyalty. So we have the rhythmic eagle guided by the eagle. Seed is the like-minded energy. Serpent is the challenge. And the World Bridger is the hidden power today. The phrase is, I organize in order to create a balancing mind. I seal the output of vision with the rhythmic tone of equality. I am guided by my own power doubled. Spaceweather.com, solar wind slower than yesterday, 482 point. Just as the Earth scientists watch our planet's polar regions for signs of climate change, solar scientists do the same thing for the sun. Magnetograms at Wilcox have been tracking the sun's polar magnetism since 1976, and they have recorded 3 grand reversals, with the 4th in the offing. Articles there for you can check it out. So something to be aware of. Nice little reversal of the sun. How will that affect us? Well, if you think about it, sun's putting out electromagnetic energy. Okay, all this magnetism. We are beings, receptors of this energy. So when the sun flips poles, reverses, it's obviously going to have some sort of effect on us as well, because we're all connected. So let's pay attention to what's going on to the sun, the light around us, and see what happens. Here's a little bit more update on things. This is Suspicious Observers Report for today.
Good morning, folks. Apart from the drawback of having to sign up at the White House website, this is as good as it gets. Any petition with 100,000 signatures must be addressed by the President of the United States. I have to believe the only reason this still has 80,000 to go is because people just don't know about it. Organic, please? Thank you. I'll sign that petition today. Kind of a downer to go along with this story is the new strain of drought-resistant rice. I thought Japan was against this stuff.